Whoa. Welcome everyone to the Showboys podcast. I'm your host, Pixel Nick, and joining me tonight is Chadwick the Third. Chadwick, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. It was a little tight to get here, but I'm here,
A little
ready.
tight, a little tight. You're running
A
back
little tight. It
from
was
the
running
store.
through traffic, apparently.
Oh, through
Yeah.
traffic, yeah. That's what it sounded like when you hopped on. What's that noise? Traffic.
Traffic.
Just in traffic. Yeah. Um, Good to hear. Good to hear.
How
Welcome.
are you, Nick?
I'm doing good. My wife just popped up the road in North Canton, like shortly before the end of the day, and got this Lego table here from someone who was selling
Oh,
Lego
nice.
table plus like a bunch of Lego. So
New edition, huh?
we were digging into that this evening. There's a lot of like Frozen sets in there, but like also a ton of Mario Lego in there.
Oh,
And the cool thing about the Mario Lego, I haven't really messed around with it much. But like Mario's in it, right? And
yeah.
he's like electronic and he like has a voice box and everything. And they have these little like tiles that have like it looks like a barcode.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when you
yeah.
move Mario over them, he does and says different things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's like a little bit more of like an interactive thing.
That's why they're so much more expensive then.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's some technology going on there.
Yeah, that's cool. I do hope they have started, but I do hope that we get some Zelda Legos. There is a set
There's a set,
currently.
yeah.
There is a set, but I hope it becomes a more widespread because it's just so ripe for Legos. I don't really have any Legos. I
Yeah.
mean, we have some stuff, but it's always been action figures for me. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's
but
tough.
I would definitely buy Zelda sets.
Yeah, it's tough. They definitely carefully toe the line between really it's all the stuff that like Gen X and millennials are into. They know we're all adults now and have like money, so
Yeah,
they'll make one Zelda set that's $300.
yeah,
Um
yeah,
they'll make one Dune set that is also like $180,
yeah.
right? So yeah, they're very even the Lord of the Rings ones. I hear they're gonna come back with play sets because Lord of the Rings had a really awesome like 2000 like a late 2000s wave, obviously, like after the movie sometime, but they finally got the IP and there's a ton of like play sets, right? Like typical like Lego sets from the 2000s. And then they had the Hobbit sets, same idea in the 2000 in 2012. And then like 10 years goes by and no Lord of the Rings or Hobbit sets, and they come out with Rivendell and it's $500, right? So
Jeez, yeah.
then they release Barad-dûr the year after that for 460, right? And then last year, the Shire came out, Bag End, and that was 260.
Jeez.
So the rumor is that they will come out with play sets again, but we will see. They definitely like
Yeah.
to just gouge the adult crew because they know they'll buy them, but we set our own trap for that. But
So why are they so expensive? I just don't even. Is it just a branding thing? It's like you're
well,
buying Lego and you're gonna pay for it.
I mean, so yeah, first off, like Lego's a very premium type toy, right? But like Lego themed Lego IP, right? Like is typically cheaper because anything Disney, there's a huge IP tax on that. So your Star Wars stuff is just like through the roof, right? There's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there's
yeah.
there's an extra thing there where they really at this point they're really just charging for like the minifigures for like collecting or army building around like that. Um so like there's a huge markup on like Star Wars Lego that people are pretty upset about in general. But even like Mario, you have to pay the Nintendo tax on that, right? So
Yeah.
the license IPs definitely have like at least like a 10-20% markup when you're talking about what those sets typically cost. But I mean generally it's just like expensive as it is. The crazy thing is they for the large part for the past like 10 years like Lego really kind of like dodged inflation. Like they just didn't really mark their prices up, but they're kind of playing catch up now. It feels like
Yeah.
in 25.
Yeah.
But the other problem too is they simply are releasing more and more sets every year. Like this year,
Right.
they released so far more sets than they released last year. Period.
Oh,
Overall,
wow. Jeez. Halfway through the year. Yeah.
I do we have enough money to buy all these things? I know I don't.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't. It's a whole ecosphere of stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the fun adventure today. Kudos to my wife for spotting that at like 3 a.m. this morning while she was, like doom scrolling in the middle of the night. Solid come up there for some Lego. Anyway, what are we talking about tonight, Chad?
We were talking about your name. No, wait.
Oh darn!
We changed. Yeah.
Whoops! I was
We
gonna
did a
say.
little pivot. And the way the pivot happened was kind of funny because last night I was sitting down watching Watchmen, the animated chapter 1 that's on HBO. And you texted me and was like, "What are we watching for the podcast?" And at the time, it was Your Name, which is an anime that we were going to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I'm watching Watchmen, and that's probably what we should have done." And then you were like, "Should we pivot?" And I was like, "Well, watch the trailer and then let me know if we should pivot."
Yeah.
And then you watched the trailer, and you were like, "Yeah, I like Your Name looks really good, but I don't think it's the vibe after watching that trailer. So let's pivot."
Yeah. It's just both. First off, both trailers. I watched both trailers. They both look good. I do want to watch Your Name because that does look very good, but it just was not what I was feeling, and I
Yeah.
also feel like it was too in line with Spirited Away in terms of, not like Spirited Away, but in terms of like maybe more lighthearted,
Yeah.
like anime, right?
Yeah.
Like definitely the vibe tone was different. Whereas like I watched the Watchmen trailer, and obviously it's the Watchmen, and you got what's his face narrating the whole time, and it's just like grimy, like
Yeah.
city crime thing. And it's just like, oh, this looks awesome.
Look at Bio in the house. Finally.
Where
Bio, where have you been, son? Where have you been? It's been so long since we've talked. They came out with a Watchmen series. So this is actually, it's not technically a series. It's currently speaking, it's 2 animated movies. Think the animated Batman movies would probably be the best way to describe it.
Yeah, right now there's a chapter 1 and a chapter 2. Now, if you type in Watchmen on HBO Max,
a plethora of stuff.
Shout out rebrand. HBO Max is back. They're now realigned with HBO. But yeah, you have obviously the Watchmen movie that came out like a decade ago, where the big to do was Dr. Manhattan's like naked penis blue everywhere. That was the big thing. But there's also the series, which I was familiar with, that came out probably a year or 2 ago. And I thought that's what this was. But then you punch in Watchmen, you also have these 2 other animated movies kind of baked in there too. And then I said something else to you, right? There was like another Watchmen related thing. Oh, the
motion comic.
Motion comic. Yeah. I was like, that sounds awesome as well.
Yeah, so I was not aware that there was so much Watchmen stuff either, but this popped up, and I don't remember how I even got to this. I was just looking through HBO, and I think they have like a specific tab that I clicked on, and it led me to all this stuff, and I was like, oh, I didn't know they had animated movies. And then I watched the trailer. I was like, kind of looks sick, so put it on, and turns out it's pretty sick. Now, I am not like the, I'm not a know-it-all when it comes to Watchmen stuff. I know very little as far as the comics, but I don't know if the movie is word for word out of the comics, because this animated show is word for word out of the movie, basically, in some scenes. So I don't know if it's all like they're very strict with how they follow the comic, but I have to assume, because literally there's multiple scenes in this chapter 1 that happen literally word for word out of the movie that came out.
Yeah, because I was watching it, and obviously I saw the movie, forever ago when it like came out, or shortly thereafter when it came out on streaming. And definitely a lot of this seemed new to me, right? Because I definitely could tell the way it was stylized and narrated. Like I felt like it was coming more from the comics. But then like I would hit, and I was like, oh yeah, some of this is new, and obviously it's been so long. But definitely the Dr. Manhattan like bit, like I was like, this is like I definitely remember a lot of this, but I was like, I
Yeah.
like this way better. I
Yeah.
think just because this format is just way better for this type of material.
Yeah, I
But
agree. Yeah, and it could. I mean, that is something that I think DC just gets. You know what I mean? If you go and try to look up like Spider-Man animated movies, there's like two. And at the time, like when I was looking it up, there was one and it wasn't even out yet, and that was Into the Spider-Verse, which was coming. You go look up a Batman animated movie, there's like 30 of them, and they're all
yeah,
freaking phenomenal. So
yeah,
that's something that DC just gets. Their comic books, comic books in general just translate to animated movies way better.
yeah.
So that's something that DC has always been really good at. But yeah, I remember seeing. So the Watchmen movie came out in 2009, and I think it was either right around when Blu-rays were starting to pop up and become like more mainstream. So the first movie that I saw on Blu-ray was Watchmen, and it like is mind blowing on Blu-ray at the time. I'm sure if you go back
Oh
and watch a
yeah,
Blu-ray now, it's
yeah.
trash. But
No.
at the time, that scene where the comedian gets thrown through the glass, I just remember
Mm-hmm.
being like blown away at how good that looked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have like even though I'm not like the know-it-all on Watchmen stuff, I do have like just a weird obsession with the 2009 movie and just the story in general. I think is cool.
Bioassassin says that's the best scene.
Yeah, it really is.
But isn't it different that like the way the narration and the way they approach that scene, because that scene's more of like a playback, right?
Yeah.
In this, whereas like we actually got the real time scene in the
Yeah, I think
movie.
it's like that's the opening scene for the movie
Yeah.
is his fight scene, the murder scene. But yeah, it is kind of like it's like a flashback here. And that might be how it is in the comics. I should read the comics because I don't know. It's weird. Something about this specifically with, and I'm going to mess his name up. Is it Rorschach? Is that how you say it? Okay.
Rorschach.
That dude's just awesome, man. Like he's got that 1940s noir feel to him where he's just spouting crazy shit out of his mouth in a deep, gritty voice. And he's voiced by the actor that plays Bosch from the Amazon series.
Yeah, Titus.
And I love,
Welliver.
yeah. And I love Bosch. It's like it's probably a top 10 show for me. So it was cool to see. You can't tell really that it's him. Like he does his voice so raspy and different that you can't really tell that it's him, but I was excited. But before we started here, we were talking about some of the voice actors, and Troy Baker is in here, which I said, like, that dude gets around, man. Like he seems like he's on what seems like every video game that comes out. He's a voice actor on, and now he's randomly popped up here on Chapter 1.
Yeah, he's well, so the way this does it, so obviously he's the rich, like he's the rich, like smartest guy on earth as they deem him. But this says Adrian Veidt, which is the rich guy, right, in the Veidt building. But then Minister and Benny Anger. So he voices like
multiple people,
characters in this. Right, and then we have Katie Sackhoff. She's Dr. Manhattan's partner. This says it like second generation heroine, and his partner. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's like a second version of that character or.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that's cool
because there's multiple characters in here have been helmed by multiple people. I think now Night Owl is one of them. Silk Spectre is another one. Which is cool. You know, it's just, I don't know, the vibe of this is just, and I've always been like kind of a big fan of like alternate history stuff, and that this kind of feels very alternate history, right?
Well, that's what's fun about it is it's also cool the way, you piece together what's going on, or like where they are. So it's like the 70s or like 80s, I think, right?
80s,
Because
yeah.
there's stuff that takes place kind of in the war era, right? There's stuff that takes place when they're
Yeah, it's the 80s because you can
post-war.
see, yeah, you see a newspaper that's talking about Russia's invasion
Yeah.
of Afghanistan at some point. And I
And then
think
the
they mentioned it
comedian
too.
has stuff like in the 60s, right? 'Cause he even calls it out. He's like, it's 1966, but you're acting like it's still 1949.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But like at the same time, we have this like not steampunk, but like this you know, also like with the blimps and things like that, almost this alternate I always like kind of like to call it like it's the Fallout, right? The Fallout future where
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
we really clung on to like nuclear way more, and
Yep.
like everything's like sub nuclear powered, and we just embrace a different type of technology. But at the same time, it feels like the 20s and 30s America, the way they dress, their
Yeah.
hats, the way they talk, the cars still look like that. So it's this weird, like futuristic version of the 20s. So if you took the 20s and just said, let's futurize the 20s, but it's only really 1980, because, the war went completely different or something, but like, it's just a really neat aesthetic they create.
I agree for sure. It reminds me a little bit, kind of Sin City does this as
Yeah.
well, where it's like you don't really know what time it's taking place. Like the cars are from the 30s and 40s, but then there's like modern weaponry in there. So it's this weird combination, and Sin City is up there for me. I think that's like the first movie is like one of the best movies. It's probably a top 10 movie for me as well, just because it was at the time so
Oh yeah.
different, like black and white, the blood's
Some
red,
color.
certain
Yeah.
colors, certain things are color, and they've really been the only ones that have been able to pull it off. I think there was a superhero. What was the name of the Spirit? I think tried to do it that same style, that black and white.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, something about Sin City and just the story of Sin City and the location of Sin City. I think is really cool, and it's kind of got the same vibe here, where you're not like it's this alternate history where it's the 80s, but it kind of still feels like the 40s in some parts. And specifically with our like noir detective character in
Right.
Rorschach, he feels very ripped right out of the 40s still. So yeah, I just I don't know, something about
Well,
that style is awesome.
well, yeah. I mean, even like the setting too. Like when I forget, it happens in multiple things. Like whenever they were at street level, right? And whether they got jumped in the one scene, but even before that, he was like crossing the street, and there's those like gang members kind of like talking to, they're kind of like partying, they're just out loud, whipping out knives and like talking about they're gonna go like wreck, like tear some shit up. And it's
Yeah.
just cool because it just sets the like aesthetic that that kind of like vigilante criminal Gotham type feel where um there is very low tolerance for law and order, right? The cops kind of look the other way. Everything's just kind of in a state of a criminally ran city to some degree.
Yeah.
Bio Assassin says, "So you're a fan of Frank Miller, eh?"
I
I know
am.
your
Yeah, I
type.
am. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely am. And even still, like even the Sin City comic books are some of the coolest artwork, and it's so basic, really. When you look at it, it's just black and white, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't know, just something about his story that he sets up. And then the other thing that I thought was so bizarre, not to turn this into a Sin City episode, but the thing about Sin City was the actors they got to play look just like the characters in the comic book. Like it's freaky. Like some of the
Mm,
characters look identical. And
gotta do it.
yeah, I don't know, just everything about it. And I love the second movie, and I know that is You know, a lot of people didn't like that second movie, but I just wanted more of that world and more stories in that world. I hope they make a third movie. Doubt they will, because I don't think that second one, it kind of lost its luster from the first movie in that style. But there are still some really good stories from that universe that can be told in the third movie. So, but yeah, it's the same kind of vibe here, and it just some of the stuff that Rorschach says in this is just cracks me up every time. Like even his line, there's lines that are direct rip from the movie. But yeah, and he makes cold baked beans look so cool, dude. Every time that he's eating his cold baked beans, whether it be in the movie or in this animated series, that exact scene is in this.
He was going to town on those baked beans. He does not
Yeah.
care. He was hungry. But like there's a certain appreciation there where it was like, I mean, he's not really the type of person to sit around and like have a nice meal. Like he just needs nutrients so he doesn't like die.
That's it.
So you just slam in like 2 cans of baked beans, and
that
checks that box onto the next thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, his kind of like his I don't know if they're like monologues or like, you know, his narration is just wild. The things he is talking about. Because, you know, because I don't know, there's like the whole, like he's talking about communists, and like he goes like from one extreme to the next, like the way his like train of thought goes. Cause like he'll be talking about something very specific, but then it's like, God damn, all these communists, and like, you know, these people just simply don't deserve to live. And, you know, I'm going to deliver this justice no matter what. And he's just beating up people. He's awesome.
He's just got that like gritty, worn down superhero vibe. You know what I mean? Where he's like the aged Batman, Dark Knight Returns style Batman. I loved his character in the original movie. I love it here. I think the animation here is freaking awesome. And there's something to be said about like, because it's definitely done. It's computerized. It's not like a hand drawn thing, right?
Right.
But this is the kind of parallels that we were talking about, where there's good and bad with each, and this is an example of like really good like modern animation.
Yeah, and I don't, you know, it's not the Borderlands thing, but like just like the hard like stencil, like outline on things. Like hell, it's not nearly as thick or as bubbly as Borderlands, but like this has like a nice. It fits the noir thing a ton for some reason, right? And it just adds to the darkness too, because everything just has like a dark outline. Even their features are more heavily drawn with that stuff. But yeah, I mean, even, you know, the futurism in it, right? Because the kind of like Hawkman or whatever, the guy that's like kind of horrified at what the comedian was doing when they kind of roll in to stop that riot, and he just starts like shooting down, like they're in this like spaceship type thing.
Yeah.
And that was in this like 60s or even before then. So even the, you know, the technology of this timeline is just so intriguing. Obviously they're more, you know, they're like superheroes and they have like really fancy stuff, but
I don't know. It does have me curious, because they did make an HBO series, Watchmen series,
right?
And
is that live action though?
It is live action, yeah.
Okay.
And I, after I watched this, I went and watched the trailer for that, because I assumed that it was just a retelling of the story in a series, and it is virtually unrecognizable. Like I don't know if it's supposed to be a sequel series or a prequel series, or I'm missing something, but there's virtually nothing in there that even looks remotely close to anything that I've ever seen Watchmen wise.
Well, I would hope the series is different, because at this point we have the movie, and now we have a 2-part animated movie that is nearly, you know, a heavy overlap of the same story. Though I feel like I kind of digest this a little bit better than the movie. The movie was just mostly like a visual spectacle at the time, and
it really was
absolutely nothing about Watchmen. And I feel like a lot of other people didn't know anything about Watchmen either, unless you read comics, because I think that would have been like one of the early, or at least in a while, like first, you know, movie TV type things.
I don't know. I did want to do more research on it, because it literally like
Zack Snyder did the 2009 movie. That explains a lot.
Yeah.
It's a sequel
So
rather
this,
than a direct adaptation of the graphic
yeah,
novel.
yep, that's
That's
what I was just gonna
the
say.
series is a sequel. Yeah.
Says they likened it to a remix of the original comic series. So, I mean, I'm here for that, I guess. Now that I know, because I like watching the trailer, I was like, "What is it? This must be like a different Watchmen." But I'm like,
Well,
no, there's still like stuff in here that's definitely Watchmen. So,
well, it's interesting. The HBO series came out in 2019, and it's set in 2019, 34 years after the comic, which is in 1985, in
yeah,
an alternate Tulsa, Oklahoma. That I didn't know.
yeah. So, I don't know. I know that it got canceled, I believe. So maybe it's not that great.
See, now this is some of the more interesting stuff that I like to see in here, where it's an alternate Cold War era, right, where superheroes were outlawed, but in Nixon's fifth term, the U.S. won the Vietnam War because of Doctor Manhattan, and that's where we see Doctor Manhattan like walking through, just like nuking
Yeah.
stuff. But we also
Yeah.
got that really cool kind of flashback from Dr. Manhattan where he's remembering the comedian, and like he
Yeah.
was like, the crazy thing about him is like he gets it, like he gets reality, but he simply
Yeah.
doesn't care. That's like the most frightening part about it, because like Dr. Manhattan obviously has this super meta like understanding of reality and everything else, and he's like, he gets it, but what's scary is he's like extra human about, like it doesn't make him any less human, he's like more deranged and human for it.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 And Dr. Manhattan, like he knows all this stuff, but like the little stuff, like the sex scene that they have where he makes like duplicates of himself and like freaks her out. He's like, "Oh, I thought this was like what you wanted. I was just trying to make you happy." That
Yeah, and
cracked me
she's
up, dude.
like
That yeah.
literally just wants 100% of his attention, and
Yeah.
she's like, "You're in your lab." It's weird. I think about that, because yeah, you can't be too robotic about things. But like that's the human, like that's like he just has really lost so much of his humanity. And I'm glad they gave me the flashback of like how he became him, right? Because it makes sense. Like he at one early on, he was still remembered how to be a human, but like he's gone so far along that path, like he's kind of really forgotten those things and really doesn't care anymore, and that's
Yeah.
what she's most sad about, Katie
Yeah.
Sackhoff.
And was that I'm trying to think, was that storyline in the original movie where it
I don't
showed how he I don't think it was, but
I
it's
don't
been
think it
a
was to that degree. I remember obviously like some dynamic, right, of him having a girlfriend,
yeah.
but he was just like too far beyond all that. I don't think they explore necessarily the like her getting upset about it and like leaving him and then
Yeah.
going to hang out with the other dude, who was a
Yeah.
colleague
I'll be
back in the
curious
day.
to see once we do chapter 2, like how is this a full retelling of the comic just between these chapter 1 and chapter 2?
So chapter 1 covers issues 1 through 5, focusing on Rorschach's investigation into the comedian's murder, um, with a lot of the flashbacks. So it this definitely seems like it's more comic based, whereas obviously Zack Snyder would have adapted all the comics to be
Right.
film, whereas like this definitely feels more like they're ripping right from the comic, because the amount that like the way it's structured, because we get like and this is what I enjoyed about it, and halfway through I was like, this is a very consistent pattern, right? They hit like the present day events in real time,
Yeah.
and we get these really cool parts where um Rorschach's like narrating, and we get these still slides, which I love that effect, how we're getting like a very vibrantly described story, but the stills almost like newspaper
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
clippings, right? And I think that's so cool. But then in when we like move away from him and we get like a real time scene around Dr. Manhattan, we then get like a Dr. Manhattan specific flashback of what he remembered. And the same thing for like several other characters where they're kind of remembering the comedian. And I just thought that was such a cool like setup. And I was like, this is so much of a pattern. I'm like, this really feels like how the comic book must read.
Well, it must read. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely like the setup, and I like some of the cool stuff they do here, like the comic book reading where he's reading that kid's reading the comic book, and it's like matching up with the. Yeah, I mean that's really cool. I've never seen anything
because that's kind of like
before.
like the last third maybe that starts. I'm like, this is a new thing that I'm trying to understand that they're doing, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But like, what were you saying that like matches it up with like the story, like what's
going
on?
It's like it's matching with the story beats at the time, which is the events, which is kind of cool, and it's like a story about pirates or something.
Yeah, pirates. That's what it was. I wanted to say like aliens or something, but yeah, it's a pirate thing.
Yeah, it's a
pirate comic though, like in the same.
And it's showing like the panels of the comics as the story's going on. Yeah, definitely really, really cool. And I think that, like I said, dude, I think comic books just translate better to animated. I always probably will think that much as sure. I think the same thing with a lot of video games. I think would translate to animated stuff better. And I think we've seen that with Castlevania, the new Devil May Cry anime on Netflix.
I mean, you have to imagine
a lot of them. So
yeah, I mean, but comic books are, I guess it's harder with live action, or they have different ideas about how you do live action. But comic books, the cool thing about those in animation is like, especially with like AI these days, but the same idea is like you can just line up a comic book and it's like just animate stuff between these 2 points in time. Like we're just looking at stills, so it's just like let's just animate what happens in between these stills. And it's not too hard of a translation, whereas acting, you gotta like get people and translate things to make sense that way. And also obviously when they make series probably a little different. It's just the movies, it's the live action comic and video game movie adaptations that struggle so hard because the things they feel they have to do to the screenplay to adapt to a theater format, like it's just I think what damns them so far away.
Yeah, and it's funny because you have I love the parallel because you have DC, right? And DC is really good at their animated movies. I'll get flack for this, but not great with their live action movies. Let's just be honest. No. And then you have Marvel, who is good at the live act, well, at least used to be good at the live action, and is virtually non-existent in the animated section besides like series, like kids series. So I like seeing the parallel between the two. If there could just be, because there's so many, like if you could take any character in Marvel, and there's a ton of awesome animated movies that could be made on stories that are not being told in the live action movies or in the series. You take Spider-Man, he has some really dark stories that'd be great to be told in an animated movie. And I remember when that first Spider-Man game came out on the PS4, Insomniac Spider-Man, I was like, dude, I was coming off of like Arkham Knight. I just played Arkham Knight like a couple years ago and kind of rediscovered Batman for myself. And I remember there being like 30 something awesome animated Batman movies. So when I got into Spider-Man, I was like, dude, I can't wait to watch the animated movies. Like, it's going to be awesome. Get on there. Nothing, dude. No, there was nothing at the time until Into the Spider-Verse came out, which came out in like 2019, maybe 18. So I was like, what? That's so bizarre. Like, why does DC lean on the animated movies so much more than Marvel does?
Well, I mean, a big thing is like DC is generally darker. Obviously, I've seen some funny stuff lately where that flipped. Like somehow Marvel has their what's the most the where the Russian what's the most recent one? What are they called?
Marvel movie?
Yeah, the group. The group of like
Fantastic Four?
No, not that.
Thunderbolts?
Yeah, Thunderbolts. That group, right? Or that has become, that's like a finally darker version for Marvel, and then Marvel or DC here has what's their most recent thing that's like much more brighter? Oh, Superman, right? The new
Superman.
Superman, where
Yeah.
it has the quippy humor and the brighter colors.
Yeah.
So like outside of this year where they somehow have flipped, especially when you talk about Batman, right, and how like dark that is. I think that's just a hard aesthetic to get in like a
Yeah.
movie, right? In
Yeah.
live action, right? Because you can't just like walk around with a filter on the whole time. At least you couldn't as much.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, like I don't know, and things that just come off as like corny or just like they miss in live action, right? When you're talking about like Batman just sitting at the top of a tall building with like some sort of monologue and cut scenes of like violence in the streets. I don't know. And like even Batman Beyond, we talked about this when we were talking about like Ninja Scroll and stuff. Like the things you can get away with in animation to
Right.
show is way different, right? Because it's so much work. Because obviously someone like the new Batman, Twilight guy.
James Patterson.
Yeah, like you can string together some really cool fight sequences.
Or Robert Patterson. What did I say? James Patterson.
Yeah. You can like
no, that's not even right. That's not right. I'm sorry. Robert Pattinson.
Pattinson.
Jeez, I was trying to get it out of my brain. Apologize.
But like obviously you can like have him in the movie and do some really good action sequences, right? Because it matches his physique, his age, and his style, right? But that's also a lot to put together that much like action and stuff. Whereas you take something like Batman Beyond, which he most to me resembles, right? Like he could be a very good Batman Beyond.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for
but
sure.
You take that animated series and just like the level of intensity that series has, you just cannot do live action like straight. Like you would kill that actor if
yeah.
or it would just be all CGI and it might as well be animated anyways.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's like the big thing that whereas like you look at Marvel and the way they launched all of that, they took a lot of, I think, the graphic novelness away from it, and that they were able to find a nice translation to a movie format. Like you just look at Iron Man, like it's not a dark movie, it is very grounded in reality. There aren't things that are, it's weird to say that, but there aren't things that are like too unbelievable, even though Iron Man is pretty crazy of a character. They were able to say, well, this is how you go from no Iron Man to Iron Man. And they did that in a really kind of like sensible way, right?
Yeah.
The way they showed his suit being like mechanical versus in the comics, it's kind of like literally just iron plates and just
it's funny. That Iron Man movie always cracks me up because at least from what I remember as a kid, like Iron Man was like in the 99-cent bin. Like nobody read Iron Man, dude. Like nobody cared about Iron Man. Nobody read about Iron Man. Nobody talked about Iron Man. And then that movie came out, and all of a sudden, everybody's talking about Iron Man and how cool he is. So it was cool to see that jump. But yeah, I mean, here at the end of the day, I like the Marvel movies. I haven't seen one since No Way Home, the most recent Spider-Man movie. So I was thinking about going and taking Brady to see Fantastic Four just because he's kind of like on a movie thing here where he wants to go to the theater and watch every single movie that comes out. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I wish that somebody over at Marvel would be like, oh, dude, we have like, 80 something years worth of comic history that we could translate into really good animated movies. We have the money, clearly have the money to do it. Clearly some of these stories are never going to be told in the live actions, and you could tell them in these animated style movies that DC does. And that's cool because you get like Batman, you get really good stories that you get the Killing Joke as an animated movie. You get The Long Halloween now has 2 animated movies. These really good graphic novels from Batman that are never, there's little snippets of at least The Long Halloween in the Christopher Nolan trilogy. There's little pieces and story beats that they pulled out of there, but you're never going to get like a full retelling of that story unless you do it in the animated movie and just do it scene for scene, panel for panel.
Yeah.
And people will eat it up, dude. And I think clearly they do for DC because they keep cranking these movies out. So somebody's watching them, somebody's buying them. And Marvel's just, status quo over there making their live actions.
Well, I mean, some of that I think is the natural landscape of how this shaped out over the past 20 years, where DC has struggled to find their live action footing. Marvel hasn't. Marvel isn't going to yet give that up. Now, granted, 5 years, should they have probably started sprinkling in some animated awesomeness? Probably. Because then at least they would be able to measure that against what their live action is currently doing and make some decisions.
Yeah.
At least DC tries to do both. And, or they've always done the animated and they're just trying to do better live action.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know why Marvel doesn't start to do some of that, because it's not particularly hard. And I don't think anyone would be grossly upset if they started to do the like comic book retellings in the animated form. Like, don't just retell the MCU.
No.
Like,
we don't want that. Yeah, we don't want that. That's not what we want at all. Yeah.
The thing the MCU is missing is that so many people have no idea what those comics are about.
Yeah.
Or like, right? Most of the global population is familiar with the MCU. So it would be really cool to reboot these heroes and just give us animated comic versions.
Yeah, awesome. I don't know. I mean, here they make weird decisions over at Marvel, especially as of late, especially since they acquired the I don't even know if I want to call it rights to do the Spider-Man movie, but since they started doing Spider-Man, they just started making really weird decisions with the character to the point where it made it feel like he's not Spider-Man anymore. He's just an MCU character. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he does, outside of Spider-Man Homecoming, which is the first movie that feels so distinctly Spider-Man. They got it. They understand that New York City is as big of a character in Spider-Man as Spider-Man is. And then after that, the second movie like takes place in like London or something, or in the UK, outside. And then they just lost that feeling, and they just turned him into this MCU. Like, Tony Stark is in this position that some of Spider-Man's villains are in the comics, which make the betrayals feel so much bigger, but they ruin that because they put Tony Stark in this kind of mentorship. I don't know. I could go on and on about how they've ruined Spider-Man. I hope that this new movie that they're working on, I hope they learned it. It seemed like at the end of the most recent movie, they set it up to be like, okay, we understand we screwed Spider-Man up. Here's kind of like a soft reboot that we're going to do for him. And he's going to come back and be the kind of friendly New York City neighborhood Spider-Man. But then I hear that they're filming in like Glasgow. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Like, Spider-Man is a New York character.
Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. Right. The animated. Yeah. And that's the thing about those two Spider-Man animated movies. They might be the only animated movies that Marvel has, but they're really freaking good. And they might rival virtual animation wise. They certainly rival anything that DC is doing. Like, DC is very kind of run of the mill animation on their movies, right? Almost like a cartoon. This is like pushing the bounds of animation, and to the point where I can't remember the exact number, but there was like some 10-second scene in Into the Spider-Verse that took like 6 months to animate or something like that, like something ridiculous. So those movies are great. There's just two of them.
Well, the crazy thing about those is they were able to do a few things and blend it into a single aesthetic, right? They took the Marvel brightness and like quippiness, most of the brightness, right? And they made it brighter, more vibrant, right? Because it's in animation. But they're then taking this animation style that feels very comic-y.
Yes.
And then, but it is also the most like liquid motion-wise. Like, it's not like this. Like, the motion in this is still very rigid and kind of, it's correct for what this is, but it is not like the pixel density and the way the animation movement, right? The way things move on those screens is all hyper fluid, right? More fluid than real life.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
that points. So that's
Yeah.
what's so cool about those Spider-Man movies. But
Yeah.
yeah, like Marvel, I assume are those Marvel movies technically,
Yeah.
or
I mean, well,
are they
actually, I don't.
Sony?
Yeah, I think they're Sony. Actually, let me look.
Probably Sony, because Sony knows how to do that stuff, because they make the TV, they make all the technology, the cameras, the TVs,
Yeah.
all the stuff that goes into what that stuff shows up on.
Yeah, it's Sony, distributed by Sony as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
actually, if you look at it, most of Marvel stuff, like even the Spider-Man games, they demanded that they called it Marvel Spider-Man. It's not Insomniac Spider-Man, it's not PlayStation Spider-Man, it's Marvel Spider-Man. There's no Marvel anywhere on the cover for Into the Spider-Verse, just Into the Spider-Verse. And that comes from them. That people forget that around the 90s, like, comics were not doing good at all. Marvel was hemorrhaging money and selling their different characters off to all these different studios. That's how X-Men ended up at Fox. That's how Spider-Man and his characters ended up elsewhere. So, yeah, I mean, that's what that comes from. And that's why we have this weird Spider-Verse movie thing going on right now, where we have like the MCU stuff going on for Spider-Man, but then we have all these villain movies that Sony's doing, and Craven and Morbius, and I'm forgetting the other one. Venom is a prime, because they are owned by them, and they're kind of just letting the MCU use Spider-Man right now. And that was the deal, was like a trilogy of movies you can do, and then I think they obviously got him for a fourth one because they're coming out with a fourth one. But
yeah, well, that was like the 2000s like IP grab, right? Because they were like, every IP was just being hunted down. Whether it was Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, like they're after him. But Superman and mostly Batman dominated right through the 90s and in the 2000s, and basically by the time the Dark Knight comes out, that's where it's all kind of coming to a head, where it's like someone really needs, like, there clearly is a space for this superhero stuff, but how do we get into it, right? And X-Men were in there in the early days, and that was good. They're just kind of scooping up IPs to
and that's why you're seeing them all kind of come back. Fantastic Four is back with the MCU now. X-Men's coming back the MCU. Deadpool now is over in the MCU. So you're seeing them all kind of slowly come back, but there's a graph. You can find the graph online of, like, it was down to like specific characters, like MJ. That's why there's no Mary Jane in the MCU movies, because somebody owns the rights to Mary Jane that they didn't use. That's why they use MJ, and it's like Michelle something. So little stuff like that. That's why those characters are, that's maybe why Spider-Man feels so weird over at the MCU, because they just don't have the character rights to put his most famous characters in there,
Well, but also something you said there made me think about this is, not everything needs to be connected.
Yeah, I agree.
Into the thing. Like, the reason Spider-Man is so fun as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is it all takes place in New York.
Yep.
It has its own little timeline. He has his own enemies, right? There's this own meta that's happening in New York City. And when you try to connect that all to the whole entire planet and like the MCU worth of heroes, like, it just kind of really loses its flair, because the problem with the MCU is it's very communist, in the sense that, like, it's all for the better of the MCU and nothing for the betterment of the individuals. So it's very communist in that regard, because MCU verse first, everyone else comes second.
And unfortunately that did work for them for a majority of the characters.
Oh, for sure.
Because, like I said, Iron Man, a lot of people don't even remember Iron Man's story. You know what I mean? They don't care. But when you take Spider-Man, who was Marvel's biggest character, and then try to MCU him and make Tony Stark his mentor, and we're going to take him into the UK and all this weird shit that's going on. It's like, you're losing the character of Spider-Man. That was always the street level, Daredevil style, New York City crime fighter. That's what he is. So he's not this fighting this alien invasion that's going to come and destroy Earth. Is he in those stories in the comics? Yes, but that's not his biggest arcs, are not from these. It's from the street level New York City stuff.
Yeah, and now they're, they get in this trap of like, the perfect example is like, where were the Eternals the whole time? Like of all things. But like, take it back to the Watchmen here though. Like the Watchmen, there's no need, unless, I probably don't understand everything about it, obviously, but there's no need to say, where's Batman? Where's Superman? Where's everybody at? Like, no, it's just like the Watchmen. They got this own little timeline thing. There's heroes, very X-Men like, right?
Yes,
that's why I don't know if they have yet, or I feel like they want to like blend the X-Men into like the everything else, but it's like, if you don't want to do that, because
I don't know that they're gonna do. We'll see what they do with X-Men. I'm curious to see, but you're right. Like, they are the Watchmen of Marvel, where it's this standalone story about mutants. Does it take place in that same universe? Yes, technically it does, and there's some crossovers here and there, but they're not the forefront, right? It's about X-Men exclusively. So I hope that Marvel gets that. And I hope that they learn from their mistakes with Spider-Man and transition that into X-Men, because X-Men is best left on its own. You know what I mean? Like, there's great stories there. There's great characters there. You don't need to have them as part of this overarching. Not every Marvel movie has to lead into the next Marvel project. And they just don't get. And I think that's something that DC, for everything that they are, DC is trying to do that with their live action stuff, right? They're trying to make this MCU. I'm like, no, I want to be like, dude, you guys are kind of doing it right. Like the Batman, the most recent, your Robert Pattinson one you were talking about, that movie's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That feels like Batman. It's not Batman versus Superman. It's not the crappy Justice League movie that we got. It's just a gritty, on the streets Batman story.
Yeah.
And
I think that's why the MCU worked initially, right? Because we were starting with these isolated stories and it all threaded up, right? It all threaded up into the big thing. But now we're trying to like thread out and then back in. Like, that's what it's basically just crashing itself. Where it's like, the whole thing about comics is you pick some weird, quirky, like unique, like lens to put over a story, and that's the point, is like this cool lens, right? So you put the Watchmen lens on, like, there are these heroes in this world and they're like superhumans and they have affected like world events and the way society works and the way it looks at society and how we look at ourselves. And same thing with Superman, the questions that he raises. Same thing with Batman, and like, how does Batman deal with Gotham and his entire arc of being a vigilante hero, but kind of an anti-hero at times, and just a complex character. So you really get away from that when you are more focused on the universe of it, and not the lens that started it, right? Iron Man would be great just as, I don't know, super rich dude that has a suit. And but the cool thing is things like Watchmen, things like what's the Prime show that we were watching for a while there?
The Boys.
Yeah, The Boys, right? Like, they have all these, like, you can have all those characters in like these like micro universes of things.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. It's just I mean, when it comes to Watchmen just feels like even though maybe, and I don't even know if it takes place in the overarching, I don't even know if DC has an overarching like universe. I'm sure they do, like most comics. But it does. I really like your correlation to the X-Men, because this is kind of like DC's X-Men, if you look at it, where it's like it's there, but you don't really see him in anything else. Rorschach's not coming in and helping Batman, or Night Owl and Batman aren't getting together. Now, obviously, maybe the timing's off on that because this takes place in the 80s. And the other thing is, this takes place in New York City, which is another obscure thing for DC. DC kind of does their own, whether it's Gotham or Metropolis or whatever Superman's city is called.
Well, that's the cool thing though, is Superman has Metropolis, which is New York City, right?
Yeah.
Gotham is New York City, but Batman, like, they weren't meant, like, obviously at some point they're like, oh, they're across the bay from each other.
Yeah.
I forget, but this says that Watchmen was conceived as a self-contained story to be like on an alternate Earth, right? And obviously, I hope that's the only way they go with it for X-Men and Marvel, is that is just simply an alternate Earth where like all this other crap doesn't exist, right? Like Loki can go hang out with some X-Men, that's fine, but do not try to tell me the X-Men exist in the same Earth that Iron Man, Thor, and like Captain America do. Like you can't. It doesn't work that way. But yeah, that's kind of how Watchmen here is set up. At best, it is a alternate Earth, right?
Alternate self-contained story. Yeah. It's I don't know why I'm so drawn to Watchmen. It's just got like everything that I love in it. You know what I mean? You got superheroes, you got alternate history, you've got some really cool alternate history. You've got that kind of noir 1940s vibe, even with the way that he dresses with the hat and the coat. Like he looks like a 1940s detective. His mask, even in the movie, I love the way his mask moves around, like the black blotches on it move around on his face. The other designs, meh. Night Owl, a lot of the other ones are just like, the one dude looks like the Zodiac Killer, the dude with the like executioner hood on and the noose around his neck. Like, so yeah, I don't know. Some of the other designs are okay. I think the comedian's kind of cool. I also like that when we meet the comedian at the beginning of the movie, he's like a washed up drunk, sitting in his,
kind of like a washed up like a wrestler. That's basically like the vibe. He's a washed up wrestler.
And you get that in the movie too, where but in the movie, I thought, and again, splitting hairs here, but in the movie, he's like in a really nice apartment where he gets beat up in. In this one, he's kind of like in a not so great apartment that he gets beat up and thrown. It's just like your run of the mill New York City apartment that probably costs $7,000 a month. One room, one couch, the bed's next to the couch, $7,000 a month.
It's a hotel.
You're in New York. Be happy.
Room at best, with a secret closet where you got your outfit.
Yeah.
That's the only way it's not a hotel room, because clearly he lives there because he has it modified to house his outfit there.
Yeah. It's and I think it's just the darkness of everything that I like as well too. And I think that's something, like we said, DC just does the darkness better than anybody else. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some really dark Spider-Man stories. They're just not being told over at the MCU right now, right? They want the bright, flashy stuff. So that's why I think I'm drawn to Watchmen, because it's got that dark, gritty, street level, realistic approach to everything.
Yeah, and maybe the MCU comics do more of it than the live action leads on, but obviously they touch on like the political, socioeconomic like impacts of Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
But they glaze over it. That's not like the point by far.
Right.
Whereas this, right, and even in like Batman and Superman, like the geopolitical impacts of these types of people existing is like a huge plot point. Like in Watchmen and even The Boys, right?
The Boys,
and even X-Men, Peacemaker, maybe to some degree.
Yeah.
Those examples of and I'm also been thinking of the Pixar, The Incredibles, right? So you have like superheroes, and then they're super helpful, but then like they definitely break the bounds of like societal norms and like laws. So it's like we ban them; they're outlawed. That is just such a cool thing to explore in these stories, and I think that's what makes probably DC just a little bit darker, because it just covers like these more mature themes, like more serious themes, much more in tune with the characters than I feel like MCU does. At least
Yeah.
in the live action stuff. Like that stuff is always just kind of like fun that they touch on, and it's like a side piece annoyance.
Right.
Obviously the alien threat or Thanos and the set pieces and seeing the
Yeah.
characters interact for the first and 10th time are like the main points. And it's just like, oh, what's Shield up to? Like Shield probably goes into that way more than any of the films have.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 And the other thing that I'm curious about with Watchmen, and I don't know that it's certainly not explained here. I don't know if it's explained in the movie. I have to rewatch the movie before we do chapter 2. Do these guys have superpowers? Because in the movie, it's explained that like at the time, all the bad guys were wearing masks and like dressing up and committing crime. So the cops decided, okay, if you're going to wear masks, we're going to wear masks as well. And that's kind of how the Minutemen thing, the group started. So do these guys don't have it, at least to my knowledge? Like you don't see Rorschach doing anything extravagant. Like he has a grappling gun that he uses.
Yeah, they're all just like different flavors of like all the skills Batman has, right? Like Rorschach has like the grappling hook. That's kind of like his thing, how he gets around. Otherwise, those two just like fisticuffs, the thugs in the street. Dr. Manhattan seems to be the only one that is actually super in any such way. Comedians just roided up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really there's kind of like, I mean, exceptional people who fight crime. Right. They put on the mask and they fight crime. There's kind of exceptional people, just like what's his face is the smartest guy and he's a billionaire.
Yeah. The other thing about this story is you're also seeing all these characters in their retirement. Like they've all quit the costumed hero thing. So you're not seeing them really in their prime outside of like some flashbacks that you see. So I've always been curious to that. I'll have to rewatch the movie and see if it's better explained in there. Really, Dr. Manhattan is the only one that has like superhuman abilities, and that's shown at great length in the flashback once he gets or he like exiles himself to Mars, and it goes back and shows like he was working at what I assume is like a knockoff. Is that a real place that he was working at? That the nuclear the lab. It what's the lab that they made the nuke at? I'm blanking on it right now.
Well, I mean the Manhattan Project out in the desert.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, what was that lab called? Yeah, that had a name. It's still active to Los Alamos. That's what it has, that like Los Alamos vibe. I don't know if it's a real place or not. But yeah, it shows him kind of getting trapped in this box and getting locked in there, and I love the way that it shows like after all that happens, his body kind of just like explodes into atoms, and then it shows him like coming back in different parts of his body through the, somebody saw my circulatory system walking down the street, and my skin popped up and screamed for a minute and then disappeared, and all this crazy stuff. I was like, this such a cool way it's such a cool origin story.
Yeah, and I had thought that maybe this wouldn't go into all that, and it was like covering different things than the movie. But then I was like, okay, this is definitely some overlap with the movie, and I was happy about it because like this is really cool because I like Dr. Manhattan, and just I like his idea of a character, his idea of like a mental state, right? And yeah, him reconstructing himself was awesome. And even like when he like took himself to Mars and he was doing the photograph thing where he's like, I'm holding the photograph, I'm going to, in 90 seconds throw the photograph, but at the same time, everything is just happening all at once for him. Like there is no real past or future, like everything just is, and he's just idling on Mars. And then he does the whole Elsa thing, right, and just kind of resurrects a castle out of the ground. Very cool. I'm interested to see where that goes.
And the way, so he kind of goes on, the reason he exiles himself to Mars is because people are like accusing him of causing cancer to like everybody that he comes in contact with. Like,
well, that was that was a really cool sequence, because that's like the main tiff with his girlfriend is like, she's like, you have an interview to get ready for. I'd like you to like hang out with me 100%. But he's also doing this like research. So he's like trying to like double time do that. And then amongst all that, he's like, oh yeah, I got to go to the interview. And he just kind of like phases away. Then he shows up in a suit. But that was really cool how they set that up, that they like kind of like tricked him, right? It's his first live interview. He gets there and all of a sudden dude in the crowd like starts asking questions. Then the interviewer turns on him and then they pull up like all the pictures of the people he used to have like contact with closely, either relationship wise or like colleague wise. And he's like, they all have cancer. And he just like freaks out. He's like, dude, leave me alone. Like, from his perspective, it doesn't really matter. He's like, yeah, sure, I guess, but I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm radioactive. I'm freaking a blue dude that blew apart by an atom. Like,
it's just I don't know. He seems like just much in the way that I think Godzilla is seen as like the Japanese fear of the nuclear technology. Like, he's a nuclear powered beast that comes from the ocean. He feels like just like a culmination of fears from nuclear technology and a superhero style instead of a monster.
Well, that's the other cool aspect of that, is like they cut his girlfriend off. The government did, because she wasn't dating him anymore. But they're kind of pissed at her. They're like, because of whatever you guys had going on, but obviously the TV thing, like he's now poofed himself away to Mars. Literally, that upsets global like security,
stability, and security.
Because we don't have him. Russia knows that. Now things are like tense, and the president was like prepared to like do first strike in 10 days. It's just wild.
Yeah, it's funny. The Nixon thing is talked about in that first movie too, during the like opening montage where he gets elected to his third term. Yeah. Well, in the movie, it's third. His third term. Yeah. So I love the alternate history stuff, whether it be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that alternate take on the Manson murders, I thought was just, first off, a total freaking curveball at the end of that movie. Like, I did not know it was an alternate history thing. But Man in the High Castle is another one that's phenomenal. So I've always loved that stuff, and that's definitely the vibe here in Watchmen. They just set up just a compelling. They pull in a bunch of elements from a bunch of different things: superheroes, old detective movies, nuclear fears,
Cold War stuff.
Yeah, the invasion of Afghanistan. Like, just a lot of cool stuff they pull together and make and just into this weird mutant of a story.
It's just it's definitely an interesting watch all the way through. And it's only chapter 1. I wonder if they both came out in the same year, so I assume it's just 1 and 2. I doubt like a third one's coming out.
I doubt it, because
there's like we need 4 hours to tell the story.
We'll have to see. I don't know how many issues Watchmen is. So we'll have to see. But it does have me more curious on the show too. Like, even thinking about it sitting here sounds weird. Like a modern telling of it, or
it's a sequel. It
like
takes place 30 years after. So
so it does
it's like, how do they tell that sequel?
Curious.
Because a lot of the same characters would be dead. Manhattan would still be around. So it's definitely interesting. So, I mean, obviously, I think I want to watch the movie again at some point, but I think it is like 3 hours long. It's really
long, and there's let me look, because I think there was like a extended cut of it as well.
Oh, of course, Zack Snyder
on there that was like astronomically long. Ultimate cut. 3 hours and 36 minutes. Ultimate cut of Watchmen.
Okay. So basically, that's as long as these two movies are going to be.
Yeah. The original Watchmen is 243. Because this one was like an hour and 24 minutes or something. Second one, so they're like about.
I thought this was 2 hours.
Let me look. Maybe it was. No, hour 24 minutes for this one, and then the second one is an hour and a half, so about 3 hours.
Oh, so yeah, they are the same length basically as the full cut of the movie, which is interesting. Now that makes me want to watch the movie even more because now I feel like it isn't at all abridged. It's just like an adapted for live action version of it.
Yeah. And like I said, dude, like I'd have to go read the comics, but there's word for word scenes out of both chapter 1 here and the movie. And specifically his little monologue he does when he's in the comedian's apartment is word for word. His talk while he's eating the baked beans, completely word for word, human bean juice and everything. So I'd be curious and that's cool. And I wish that more people that were doing comic book stuff would just do that. Like, just rip it. Sin City does that. Rip it right out of the comic. Take the story. The story is there for you. The same thing with video game adaptations. The story's done. Your only job is to make it look cool. That's it. Tell the story, make it look cool. Don't do Resident Evil. Don't try to put your own little flair on it and make it your own. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. Okay? We just want you to retell the stories that we remember and modernize it and make it look cool. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's lost on a lot of filmmakers for whatever reason.
Yeah, like, just give me all the Assassin's Creed cutscenes in live action and I think I'll be like mostly pretty good. Don't create like the jumping moment once and be like, there it is, everyone, we did the thing. It's like, no, do the thing, but like keep doing the thing.
Exactly. Yeah, dude, I don't know. It is something that I think is getting better, specifically with video games. I think we're getting some good video game adaptations here as of late, specifically animated ones, which just translate better. And you could, it's an easier bridge to cross than a live action movie.
Yeah. Or series. Like if you're going to do a video game, do a series. Because I think The Last of Us did a great job there when you can just like recreate moments from the games and then string the rest together. I mean, that's all.
And it's so weird because you would think that taking a story from a video game or a comic book, the hardest part of it is making it look cool and making the characters look similar and making the locations look similar and making everything else look similar. You would think that would be the hyper focus of the show, not so much let's throw the story out. We'll just use the name Resident Evil. We'll make our own story and start our own, 6-7 movies, whatever they made. Then you're just making more work for yourself. You know what I mean? Just make it look cool. Just get the actors right. Make it look cool. Get the locations right. The story's already done. You're done. The hardest part of anything, which is getting a good story, is done for you. Yeah. So why do you make it complicated? Why do you have to make it complicated? Just take what you are given, which at a lot of times, like, don't take Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is never going to translate good to live action. It never will. It's a weird story. It should be exclusively for video games. But Resident Evil, it has a weird story, but you could have just told that scene for scene out of the games and had an awesome movie. So be careful with what comic book or video game you're choosing to adapt, but just do it like it's in the game or in the comic, dude. Even if it's word for word, because you're taking one medium and turning it into something else. You don't have to put your own spin on it. Sin City does some scenes word for word, almost shot for shot. The Last of Us series, some of those are shot for shot out of the game.
Yeah.
Like where you're looking in the game is the shots you're getting in the show. So
yeah, it's already framed out for you. Like the storyboard, you got the storyboard's already there.
Yeah, it's all there. Yep.
Are they making a live action Horizon Zero Dawn? Was that a thing?
I did hear that. Yes, I did hear that.
Is that a series? I hope it's a series.
I believe it's a movie.
You can make that a movie though. Like you just like I can see how the movie should be. Like I can see it in my mind how you
do that
as a movie.
Yeah.
You have to get the weight right. You have to get like the aesthetics and the sound design right, but it's totally doable. Just don't film it like in like a Florida swamp or
Right.
something. Like clearly the environment needs to be correct.
So here it is. It was initially announced as a Netflix series, but it has now been changed to a movie.
I'm fine with that.
And that's a game I got to get to, dude, because while
I need to finish
playing through Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 2 takes fidelity and performance mode and just puts them together. And now you got 60 FPS with how great fidelity looked. And Horizon Forbidden West does the same thing. And I remember how offensive the difference between fidelity mode and performance was at launch, where like fidelity looks amazing.
Yeah.
But runs at 30 FPS. So
I don't remember what I was running. I run it at.
Yeah, I do need to get
think
back.
of Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy is the one that I had to mess the most with when it came to those two modes.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I don't know. I went with the better looking one, the higher frame rate one for sure on that, because that one has, like you said, nauseous levels of like blur when you're moving in that game. You have to have it on whatever the FPS one is. It's like, I don't know. That one, maybe there might be a better setting for that now though too.
So we have some comments here. Is this the Snyder one or a new one? This is So this is the 2024 animated movie that's on HBO currently. So not the Zack Snyder one. And then he's asking PS5 gamers. Yes, we are.
Us too.
Yes. So yeah, I do need to get back to, and I heard that Horizon got a remaster as well for. So I might Zero Dawn. Sorry.
Yes, it did. I think it's a $10 upgrade if you own the game. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So I do need to get to those, but because I'm like on kind of this ride of like, let's go play all these old games that got PS5 Pro upgrades now that I have a Pro. And dude, it's been awesome so far. Like the Pro is now what I envisioned in my head video games would look like last generation, moving to this generation. You know, where it wasn't when the PS5 first came out. It was like, it looks better, cool. I have this super annoying, I have to pick between fidelity and performance, and that was like a huge hiccup for me. But that's pretty much squashed, and every game that I've played so far has been a combination of the two.
Well, I think BAF time nails it. It's COVID. We're going to blame COVID for that.
Because
that's roughly when the PS5 came out, and it wasn't all there by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, that's the sad thing though, is like we get to the stage where we have the pros and, you know, all the next kind of like sub iterations of this generation. And then the games finally start catching up too, right?
Yeah.
Because you're always just strapped for games at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then you're like, there's all but probably a year or 2, 3 before the next gen comes out. But I mean, this happened with the PS2, right? Yeah, you could rock the PS2 well into the life cycle of the PS3.
Yeah.
That was not an issue for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I still hear like people, and it cracks me up. People, I think it was for Battlefield. People were saying the new Battlefield, like it's already losing to Call of Duty because it's not coming out on the PS4 generation. I want to be like, dude, how freaking far are we into the PS5 generation? Like, move on, dude. Like the PS4 is dead as far as I'm concerned. I'm the kind of person, as soon as the new console comes out, the old one's dead. Yeah, I don't hold on to it for years. Yeah, maybe a year or two, maybe.
You know me. I like my patches.
Yeah.
I like my patches to come out. I like my 1 year patched up games. Then I'll play them. BAF time. The Pro should just be called the GTA 6 box.
I'm hopeful for that because I am hearing that GTA 6 is not going to run at 60 FPS on the base PS5. So I'm hopeful that it does on the Pro, and the Pro clearly is powerful enough to do so, because
you think we're gonna have like the PlayStation 6 Pro when GTA comes out.
Yeah, if GTA ever comes out, let's be honest.
the game 20 years in the making.
Dude, my oldest son is turning 12 in September. He was born the day Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, the exact day.
Ooh.
So 12 years we've been waiting. So, and it's gonna be longer because it's not coming out.
It was 2013.
Yeah.
I remember playing that on the Xbox 360. Vintage right there. Is there a release date? Was it 26 and they
Yeah,
bumped
it's
it?
May. I think it's May of 26, but I could be wrong. Let
Oh.
me look. So it was supposed to come out. What was it? November of this year? Maybe it was the original. Yeah, May of 26. Yeah, it just keeps getting bumped back. But I mean, we talk on the podcast all the time. I'm fine with that because in Rockstar, always their games always come out and they're perfect. You know what I mean? There's no glitches, there's no graphical glitches, there's no performance issues. So take your time. 12 years is a little excessive, I'll be honest. They did work on Red Dead in between there, so it's not like they've been working on Grand Theft Auto for 12 straight years, but still very long.
Yeah. BAFTime says it'll be delayed until November 26th, which I think that's a fair call.
It wouldn't be shocking, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anymore. I'm in favor of delays.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah, especially because some of these games come out and they could be awesome, but they come out, they're broken, they're busted, people forget about them, right? Don't want to talk about them, and then they get patched up, and some of them recover. Cyberpunk 2077 made a huge recovery. No Man's Sky, another one that made a huge recovery.
Yeah.
So sometimes it happens, but then sometimes you have, Suicide Squads that come out and everybody forgets about them, and it is
right here. No Man's Sky need a 5-year delay.
Yeah.
That's basically what I remember. I still worked in the office when that game came out. Yeah, and it took all but forget about it. What was that? 2018 it came out, and then don't even think about it for 2 years, and then give it COVID for it to finally get patched up.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, man, it's an awesome game now.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's great.
Same with Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's phenomenal. So if you were turned off by it in the beginning, go give it a shot now because it's put together.
I can't wait to buy Cyberpunk for $10 someday in the future.
Yeah, you probably. I'm sure you could get it soon at that price because I feel like it goes on sale pretty frequently.
Oh, I was looking at the sale they have going on right now, and I was like, I can't buy any more games. I have so many games I need to play that I haven't played. Because I've all but finished one this year, and that was Survivor. So I have I have the Assassin's Creed games I bought. I have to finish Zero Dawn. All kinds of nonsense that I need to get to, and I just don't think I'm gonna in a timely manner. I need to figure out what my next PlayStation 5 game is gonna be. I'm on a huge Harry Potter kick. We literally just finished the first book tonight.
Yeah, you should get. Did you finish Hogwarts then?
I have not finished Legacy.
I need to get back to that because I have not as well, and I think it got a PS5 Pro upgrade as well. There's much like you. I have a lot of games I need to get back to that I didn't finish. And it's hard, dude, because August, September, October of this year, there's some bangers coming out. So it's going to be hard for me to get back to anything in these next couple of months. But you
gotta just start doing the wait 1 year.
Yeah,
you'll get them cheaper. You'll get them patched.
Yeah,
it's a marvelous thing.
The problem with that strategy for me is I've already been waiting 5 years for some of these games, and I don't want to wait another year.
But you got stuff to play.
I do. Sometimes the hype train gets to me a little too much.
Yeah. Well, we can't turn this into a what's playing. This is a what's watching about Watchmen. But do you have anything else to say about Watchmen? I thoroughly enjoy it. I do recommend it, especially as a rehash of the movie. I think I like it more. Maybe I like the movie more, or do I like this more? I don't know, but I liked it either way. But I find comfort in the fact that they first went to execute this idea of a 2-part animated movie that basically just goes verbatim with the comic and coincidentally just super overlaps with the movie. That's fine.
Yeah.
And now that you said 2009, it's been 15 years.
Yeah. It's been a hot minute since the movie came out. I'd be curious to see how it holds up, visually, because like I said, I remember that was the first movie I watched on Blu-ray, and it was freaking mind blowing. So I'd be curious to see how it holds up now. But I'm definitely because I assume we're doing part 2, right?
Yeah.
Or chapter 2.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and watch it in between here. I'll try to rewatch the movie and and see how it holds up. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was like a random find on HBO that I didn't hear anything about. I was like, oh, let's put this on. And, you know, we were going to do Your Name. We were hyping Your Name in previous episodes, but we did a little bit of a pivot. It's fine. Now we're on to Watchmen.
It's fine.
But yeah, I'm enjoying this. Usually this is like a summer of gaming for us, and the summer of anime/animated
animation.
Stuff. Yeah,
animated
animation.
Summer.
Yeah,
everything got dark outlines on it.
Yeah,
it moves slow. Is this animated one gonna have the big squid?
So I've heard this. I've heard that I guess the comic book has something like that.
It must
and
be
I
a
heard
part 2 thing.
No, I guess we'll see. It definitely was not in the Zack Snyder movie, from what I remember, but I do remember people talking about the new live action series had something along those lines in it. So I don't know. We'll see.
I'm completely unfamiliar, so
yeah,
I shall be surprised.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm excited for part 2.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize how short it was, but now it makes sense because I did move right through it, and it's crazy that this one really ends with like the super meta Dr. Manhattan like bit, right?
Yeah.
So I then proceeded to follow through with my declaration from earlier this week where I was like, I think it's time I watched True Detective season 1.
Yeah, you texted me that. I got you on
holy moly. I completely forgot how like quick. I mean, that episode 1 just gets right to it.
Right to it.
Matthew McConaughey is just like talking about some wild stuff that like I remember him all talking about. I was like, I forgot it happened in episode 1.
Yeah,
he's like what he's talking about to Woody Harrelson in the car. And I was just like, holy crap!
Yeah, it's great. I actually just watched it last year for the first time at work, and it's great, dude. Like it took. So I actually watched season 2 first of True Detective, just because I'm like mildly obsessed with LA and LA cop shit.
Oh yeah, that's probably worth a rewatch at this point. I remember not liking it as much because season 1 is just like god tier.
Yeah, for me, I didn't have season 1 to compare it to, so I liked it, and I liked the LA stuff. So I didn't see season 1 until literally last year, and then Night Country seemed like it just had like such a cool freaking start. Like I was like, this is gonna be sick. And then I just kind of trailed off. I think I stopped watching it after like 4 episodes, and I was like,
yeah, I powered through it. It's good. It definitely was one of the better ones. I did not watch season 3. I feel like I need to watch season 3 just to have it under my belt. But
yeah,
I mean, season 1 I gotta watch like every other year.
So what sparked that in you from Watchmen? Just that kind of noir style?
No, it wasn't Watchmen. That was just last night we decided to watch Watchmen. I had already said earlier in Discord that I wanted to watch True Detective, and what was I doing where that kind of crept into my mind? I don't even know. I just got the itch to watch True Detective. I don't know, really don't know.
And then
maybe it was the Clips album that just came out, because that's kind of like they make references to all the HBO stuff a ton in their music. So it's just the vibe. It's
something planted the seed in your head, huh?
Yeah.
And then you mentioned something about End of Watch. I didn't know you were an End of Watch guy.
Oh, big fan of End of Watch. I remember watching that when it came out, and I own
movie.
it.
Great movie.
That's just a great rewatch all the time.
Yeah.
Bath Time. If you haven't seen, you might like The Expanse. It's basically the Wire Game of Thrones in space. Yeah, we watched it. We're big fans of The Expanse here at Showboys. That I've been wanting to rewatch too, but that's also like quite the undertaking.
Yeah.
But shout out Jared Harris, our favorite actor that's in everything, but doesn't really star in much, but he's everywhere.
Yeah. I'm excited for the game. There's a game coming out too that looked pretty sick.
Yeah, The Expanse is so good. There's the game that's coming out. That's really what's gonna be the deciding factor about that. is if I get to the game, that will definitely trigger a need to
It
watch
will
the
trigger a rewatch. Yeah, same for me. Yeah,
but there's the Telltale game too.
yeah.
That Mike keeps talking about.
Yeah, it's supposed to
That
be
is
pretty
also
good.
intriguing to me because I'm fine with an on the rails like.
It's
demo.
very on the rails, but it's cool. The way
Yeah.
they do it, the way they do their games is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think we hit like every possible note we could have hit it all.
Hit it all. We bashed the MCU.
Yep. Bashed the MCU.
We talked to the DC verse and also bash it at the same time.
Yep.
And we got some gaming talk in here.
Yeah.
Bioassassin, thanks for tuning in. Bath time. Thanks for tuning in as well. Enjoyed your comments. But yeah, we'll probably just do chapter 2 next week. That seems
might
like
as well.
makes the most sense.
Yeah, it seems like the
keep
logical
the train rolling. We're just gonna keep Mike out of the podcast.
Yeah, that's funny. He's super into Watchmen, isn't he?
Is he?
I thought he was, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, he's not into cool things like that.
I think he might be. He's a DC guy. I'd be shocked if he wasn't into Watchmen. And he's a Zack Snyder guy too, right?
This is true.
Seems like a
statements.
Yeah, it seems like an obvious thing he'd be into, but
I told him today that we did the pivot and like it didn't really get much of a rise out of him.
Oh, really?
We'd have more of a reaction out of him.
Yeah,
telling him we pivoted. Like what? But no, nothing. So we'll see. Maybe we get him on for part 2. Get him catched up.
Yeah, it's only an hour and a half that he's got to catch up.
Easy. He can watch it while he works.
Yep.
And on that note, we are